emotions with the search rang anywhere. Met the euphoria. There was also the intimacy communicating by email. U.S. Library of Congress James H. Billington was quoted spotting a decline in the use of language. Billington. Billington. The 21st century opened. The Internet was easily the most dynamic new force in society. It has revolutionized communication, changed the way business work, altered everyday living patterns, and spread an economic boom of unparalleled proportions. Well, was there made euphoria? There was also limited actual interest in the singing communicated by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress James H. Brinton was quoted as warning the email was putting a decline in the use of language, the handwriting and even typing sharpens the message, better informed the actual content, and imparts some logic and sincerity by its very physical form. The letter is an artifact and the embrace of civilization, said Brinton. Hmm. As the 21st century opened, the Internet was easily the most dynamic new force in society. It has revolutionized communication, changed the way business work, altered everyday living patterns, that spread an economic boom of unparalleled proportions. Was there change running anywhere? Amid the euphoria, there was also limited intimacy that seemed communicated by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress James H. Billington was quoted as warning email was spotting a decline in the use of language, that their handwriting and even typing sharpened the message, better informed as to actual content, and impressed some logic and sincerity by its very physical form. The letter is an artifact and emblem of civilization, said Billington. As the 21st century opened, the Internet was easily the most dynamic new force in society. It, it had revolutionized society. It had revolutionized communication, changed the way business work, altered everyday living pattern, and spread an economic boom of unparalleled altered everyday living patterns and spread an economic boom of unparalleled 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 proportions. Reuters even reported as per an economic boom of unparalleled proportions. Was there sanction running anywhere? Amid the euphoria, there was portions. Was there sanction running anywhere? Amid the euphoria, there was the there was the huh? There were also those who lamented an erosion.ははthose who 言ってなくね？いや、マジで聞こえないんだよな。There was there was also there were those who lamented erosion. Lamented. Yeah, also. Lamented. impressions. The attention riding anywhere. Amid the euphoria, there was also limited an notion of intimacy that seemed blank and email. There was also there were there were there were there were those who lamented. There were those who lamented. There were those who there were there were those who lamented. There there were those who lamented. There were those who lamented. There were those who lamented erosion. There were those who lamented erosion. There were those who lamented erosion. There were those who there were those who lamented erosion. Anywhere admitted euphoria. But those there were those who lamented. 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 There were those who lamented erosion. Proportion. Amid the euphoria, there was those who, there were those who, there were those who lamented. There were those who lamented. Anywhere amid the euphoria, there was a mm, like those who lamented erosion of intimacy, the same blink, same link, same link to. Simple link to communicate by email. U.S. Library of Congress James H. Billington was quoted as communicating by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress James H. Billington was quoted as warning that email was sparking a decline in the use of language. The handling and even typing sharpened the message, better informed through actual content, and improved some logic and sincerely by its bare physical form. The letter is an artifact and emblem of civilization, said Billington. The everyday living patterns are spread an economic web of unparalleled proportions. As there were times lying anywhere, amid the euphoria, there was also lamented an illusion of intimacy that seemed linked to communication by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress James H. Billington was quoted as warning as a general striking decline in the use of language. The hand some logic and sincerely by physical form. The civilization said Billington. Tension writing anywhere. Amid the euphoria, there was also limited illusion of intimacy that seemed linked to Billington by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress James H. Billington was quoted as reporting that email was plotting a decline in the use of language. The handwriting and even typing sharpened the message, better informed as factual. In handwriting, then even typing sharpened the message, better informed as the actual content. They impose some logic and sincerely by its very physical form. The letter is an artificial. The letter is an artifact but informed as an actual content. It imposes some logic and sincerely by its very physical form. The letter is an artifact and an emblem of civilization, said Blinton. There was 37. As the 21st century opened, the internet was easily the most dynamic new force in society. You have revolutionized communication, changed the way business works, altered everyday everything patterns, and spread an economic web of unparalleled proportions. But there was sunshine and anger, amid the euphoria. There was also there was there was also granted. Hmm. Oh yeah, with the tension writing anger, amid the euphoria. There was also there was also there was also writing anger, amid the euphoria. There was also there was also there was also there was also amid the euphoria, there were also fundamental analysis of the intentions of some beings to communicating by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress James H. Brinton was quoted as warning that email was causing a decline in the use of language to handwriting and even writing, sharpen the message, better inform as to the actual content, and impart some logic and sincerity by its better physical form. The letter is an artifact and emblem of civilization, said Brinton. Hmm. The 21st century was a time to writing anywhere. Amid the euphoria, there was also a limited illusion of intimacy simply bring to communicating by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress James H. Brinton was quoted as a warning that email was starting to decline in U.S. language, the handwriting, and even typing, sharpening the message, better informed as to the actual content, and impressed some logic and sincerity by its very physical form. The letter is an artifact and emblem of civilization, said Brinton. Uh, As the 21st century opened, the Internet was easily the most dynamic new force in society. It has revolutionized communication, changed the way business work, altered everyday living patterns, and spread an economic wave of unparalleled proportions. But the challenge lying anywhere, amid the euphoria, there was also limited illusion of intimacy. U.S. Librarian of Congress James H. Brinton was quoted as warning the email was sparking a decline in the use of language, the handwriting, or even typing, sharpening the message, better informed as to actual content, and implied some logic and sincerity by its very physical form. The letter is an artifact and emblem of civilization, said Brinton. As the 21st century opened, the Internet was easily the most dynamic new force in society. It has revolutionized communication, changed the way business works, altered everyday living patterns, and spread an economic boom of unparalleled proportions. Was there times running anywhere? Amid the euphoria, there was also limited illusion of intimacy that seemed linked to communicating by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress James H. Brinton was quoted as warning that email was threatening a decline in the use of language, that handwriting, and even typing sharpened the message, better informed as to actual content, and impart some logic and sincerity by its very physical form. The latter is an artifact and emblem of civilization, said Brinton. As the 21st century opened, the Internet was easily the most dynamic new force in society. It has revolutionized communication, changed the way business work, altered everyday living patterns, and spread an economic boom of unparalleled proportions. But the intention lying anywhere, amid the euphoria, there was also there was also 絶対オールソっつってるわ。There were those who lamented. There were also って絶対言ってるだろ。There were also. There was also. There were those who. There were those who つってんのか。俺の耳が悪いのか。Admit you failure. いや、マジでオールソに聞こえる。Communicating by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress George H. Clinton was quoted as warning that email was particularly deploying the use of language that handling, even typing sharing the message, better informed as to actual content, and upon some logic and sincerely by its very physical form. The letter is an artifact and emblem of civilization, said Brinton. Number 37. At the 21st century open, the Internet was easily the most dynamic new force in society. It had revolutionized communication, changed the way business works, altered everyday living patterns, and spurred an economic boom of unparalleled. ここもちょっと have revolutionized communicating, changed the way business work, altered everyday living patterns, and spurred an economic boom unparalleled proportions. At the time, surrounding anime amid the euphoria, there were those who lamented an emotion or intimacy that seemed bring to communicating by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress James H. Clinton was quoted as warning that email was sparking a decline in the use of language. Better informed as to actual content, and imposed some logic and sincerity by its very physical form. The letter is an artifact and emblem of civilization, said Clinton. Ah, number 36. Neuroscientists study the human brain. Let's conduct a simple experiment. Using electrodes, they massage the brain of group of depressed women. The wild cast a pleasurable feeling. The unhappy women came to no harm. Indeed, the mood improves, at least for a short time. But after the experiment, the women seemed to have fallen in love with the experimenters. A few policy specialists were now beginning to realize that such experiments present far more of a threat to human dignity and freedom than their genetic cloning. Cloning is a subject to oh, only ban. Yet, when it comes to science, no government policy exists to stop any kind of mind experiment. Scientists who use a brain altering technique to create remote control alerts might not even consider the possibility that the same could be done to create human programmed to obey. If asked to guess which group of scientists is most likely to be responsible in the future for changing the nature of humanity, most people might suggest Genesis. In fact, new scientists present a greater and much more immediate threat. Moreover, it is a threat that is largely ignored by policymakers and the public, who seem mainly concerned with fantastic images, genetic manipulation. Number 36. Scientists who study the human brain must conduct simple experiments. Using electrodes, the massage the brain of a group of depressed women in ways that cause pleasurable feelings. The unhappy women came to no harm. Indeed, the mood is improved, at least for a short time. Then after the experiment, the women seem to have fallen in the the Solomon beginning to realize that such experiments form more of a threat to human dignity and freedom than does genetic cloning. Cloning is a subject of heated public debate with proposal for a complete ban. Yet, when it comes to neuroscience, no government policy exists to stop any kind of mind experiment. Scientists who use a brain altering technique to create remote controlled rats might not even consider the possibility that the same could be done to create human programmed to obey. If asked to guess which group of scientists is most likely to be responsible in the future for changing the essential nature of humanity, most people might suggest the geneticists. In fact, neuroscience represents a greater and much more immediate threat. Moreover, it is a threat that is largely ignored by policymakers and public, who seem mainly concerned with fantastic images of genetic manipulation. Scientists who study the human brain once conducted simple experiments. Using electrodes, they massaged the brain of a group of depressed women in ways that caused pleasurable feelings. The unhappy women came to no harm. Indeed, their mood improved, at least for a short time. But after the experiment, the women seemed to have fallen in love with the experimenters. A few forensic scientists are now beginning to realize that such experiments present far more of a threat to human dignity and freedom than the public debate with proposal for complete ban. Yet, when it comes to neuroscience, no government policy exists to stop any kind of mind experiment. Scientists who use a brain-altering technique to create remote-controlled rats might not even consider the possibility that the same could be done to create human programmed to obey. If asked to guess which group of scientists is most likely to be responsible in the future for changing the essential nature of humanity, most people might suggest geneticists. In fact, neuroscience presents a greater and much more immediate threat. Moreover, it is a threat that is largely ignored by policymakers and the public, who seem mainly concerned with fantastic images of genetic manipulation. Number 36. Scientists who study the human brain once conducted simple experiments. Using electrodes, they massaged the brain of a group of depressed women in ways that caused in a ways group of depressed women in the ways that caused pleasurable feelings. The unhappy women came to no harm. Indeed, their mood improved, at least for a short time. But after the experiment, the women seemed to have fallen in love for a short time. But after the experiment, the women seemed to have fallen in love with the experimenters. A few policy specialists are now beginning to realize that such experiments present far more of a threat to human dignity and freedom than does genetic cloning. Cloning is a subject of heated public debate, with proposals for a complete ban. Yet, when it comes to neuroscience, no government policy exists to stop any kind of mind experiment. Scientists who use a brain-altering technique to create remote-controlled rats might not even consider the possibility that the same could be done to create human programmed to obey. If asked to guess which group of scientists is most likely to be responsible in the future for changing the essential nature of humanity, most people might suggest the geneticists. In fact, neuroscientists present a greater and much more immediate threat. Moreover, it is a threat that we know policymakers and public, who seem mainly concerned with fantastic images of genetic manipulation. Scientists who study the human brain Once conduct a simple experiment. Using electrodes, they massage the brain of a group of depressed women in ways that cause pleasurable feelings. The unhappy women came to no harm. Indeed, their mood improved, at least for a short time. But after the experiment, the women seemed to have fallen in love with the experimenters. A few policy specialists are now beginning to realize that such experiments present far more of a threat to human dignity and freedom than does denture cloning. Cloning is a subject of heated public debate, with proposal for a complete ban. Yet, when it comes to climate science, no government policy exists to stop any kind of mind experiment. Scientists who use a brain-altering technique to create remote-controlled rats might not even consider the possibility that the same could be done to create human programmed to obey. If asked to guess which group of scientists is most likely to be responsible in the future for changing the essential nature of humanity, most people might suggest geneticists. In fact, neuroscience presents a greater and much more immediate threat. Moreover, it is a threat that is largely ignored by policymakers and the public, who seem mainly concerned with fantastic images of genetic manipulation. Ah,34か。こんなんやったっけ？やったわ。Number 34. According to Van Raugoodar, chimpanzees use tools to obtain food, and they communicate through gesture, facial expression, and over 20 codes. The love language of the kind used by humans, however, in which a signal are segmented to be combined for an infinite number of messages. In a simple communication system, one gesture or one code, as the case may be, signifies something in the form of message. A certain back cry can serve as a warning of danger, or a certain body posture in an animal can signify submission. In this kind of communication system, the number of distinct calls or gestures must be few enough to avoid overloading the memory. Furthermore, if they can do errors, they may lose their distinctiveness and become ambiguous. For both of these reasons, more complex communication systems are developed in which the code or gesture becomes segmented and are used in combinations that generate multiple meanings, thus increasing the number of basic elements. As an instance, Hackett and Asher have made an analysis of a warning code. It could be modified one way to signal danger from above and another way to signal danger below. Further, paths of codes could be branded. This suggests that a new code, meaning danger and food, could be made from segments, from one code indicating food here, and another meaning danger coming. ちょ、一回読んどいた方がいいかも。ああ。According to Van Rabbit Goodall, chimpanzees use tools to obtain food, and they communicate with gesture, facial expression, and over 20 codes. They lack language. They lack language of the kind used by humans. However, in case the signal are segmented to be combined for a big number of messages. うん。Signal が segmented 分節化されて be recombined 再 recombine 再結合 for infinite number of messages 無限のメッセージの数 無限のメッセージの数、無限のメッセージのために再結合されるために、The signal はセグメント分節される。Segments. In a simple communication system, one gesture or one code, as the case may be, as the case may be, ケースに応じて、状況に応じて、the case may be, そういう時かな。as the case may be, そのケース、状況が何かもしれない時に、状況に応じて signifies 意味する。something and from a message and は見せるもしくはメッセージを形成する。現実の形成する。メッセージを形成する。あることがある意味し。Certain bird cry can serve 役立つ as a warning of danger or a body posture 姿勢 in an animal can signify 意味する submission 幸福 In this kind of communication system, the number of distinct codes,数 of distinct codes, 異なるコール鳴き声の数 or gesture, 異なる鳴き声と gesture, 身振り手振りの数は must be few enough to avoid overloading the memory. Must be few 少なくなければならない enough to avoid overloading the memory オーバーロード、負担をかける。記憶に負担をかけることを下げるくらい十分に少なくなければならない。Furthermore, if they became too numerous, if they became too numerous, もしそれらが場が多かったら、they must be lose their distinctiveness. They must lose 失うかもしれん。Their distinctiveness and became ambiguous. 違いを失い and became ambiguous. 曖昧になる。独立性って訳したの。distinctiveness 違い区別。distinctiveness distinctiveness distinctive distinctiveness 形容詞 distinctiveness 特殊性独特であること特殊性独特であること独立性 distinctiveness for both of the reason まあそれらの2つの理由のために more complex communication system より複雑なコミュニケーションシステムは data flow in physical or gesture が発達した開発された in which 何々の中で the call or gesture 鳴き声や身振りが became segmented 分節化される区別される and are used in combination が使われる in combination 連合して使われる that generate それを生み出します multiple たくさんの意味 result increasing the number of basic elements 基礎的な要素の数を増やすことなくめっちゃ意味増やせると as an instance 例えば Hawkett and Usher have made an analysis of the warning call 警告の分析をした It could be modified to modify 変化をつける。変更するか。修正するだよな。変更するか。It could be modified one way. 変更する to signal danger from above, 上 and another way to signal danger below, 下の危険信号。もう一つは下の危険信号を It could be modified. It could be modified to be うん。Analysis of the warning code. The warning code could be modified. それは変更されることがある。To signal danger from above and another way. もう一つでは to signal danger below. ってことか。Further, さらに part of code. 鳴き声の部分か。複数のパーツ。鳴き声の複数のパーツ。複数の鳴き声の複数のパーツ。複数形の S がついてるから。Parts of code 複数の鳴き声の複数のパーツ。will be blended が混ぜられる。それらは suggest the new code meaning danger and fear. それらは提案する、示唆する a new code meaning danger and food could be danger food to be made from segments from one code indicating food here and another meaning danger coming. 危険が来るもう一つの意味と食べ物がここにあるを含んでいるもう一つの鳴き声から文章化されて作られるかもしれない。作られることがあることを示唆している。うん。うん。According to Van Leeuwenhoek, chimpanzees use tools to obtain food, and they communicate with gesture, facial expressions, and over 20 calls. The lack language of kind used by humans, however, with a signal are segmented to be recombined for a infinite number of messages. In a simple communication system, one gesture or one call, as the case may be, signifies something from the message. A sudden bark like a sound as a warning of danger, or some posture in an animal can signify submission. In this kind of communication system, the number of distinct calls or gestures must be few enough. Furthermore, if they become too numerous, they may lose their distinctiveness and become ambiguous. For both of these reasons, more complex communication systems are developed, in which the code or gesture becomes segmented and used in combination to generate multiple meanings without including a number of basic elements. Other instances, Hawkett and Usher have made an analysis of one code. It could be modified one way to signal danger from above, and another way to signal danger below. Further, parts of code could be blended. This suggests that a new code, meaning danger and food, could be made from segments, from one code indicating food here, and another meaning danger coming. Uh, According to Van Goodall, chimpanzees use food to obtain the food, and they communicate with gesture, facial expressions, and over 20 calls. They lack language of the kind used by humans, however, in which the signals are segmented to be recombined or infinite number of messages. In several communication systems, one gesture or one code, as the case may be, signifies something or form of message. A sudden bad cry can serve as a warning of danger. A sudden body posture in an envelope can signify submission. In this kind of a communication system, the number of distinct code or gesture must be few enough to avoid overloading the memories. Furthermore, if they become too numerous, they may lose distinctness and become ambiguous. If both of these reasons, more complex communication systems are developed, in which the code or gesture becomes segmented using combinations that generate multiple meanings without including the number of basic elements. Other instances, Hackett and Asher have made an analysis of the warning code. It could be modified one way to signal danger from above, and another way to signal danger below. Further, parts of code could be blended. They suggest that the new code, meaning danger or food, could be made from segments from one code indicating food here, another way indicating danger coming. Uh, ちょい。Change the way business works. Altering everyday living patterns and prosper an economic boom of unparalleled proportions. Was the township running anywhere? Amid the euphoria, there were those who lamented the relation of intimacy that seemed linked to communicate by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress James H. Clinton was quoted as warning that the email was particularly in the handwriting and even typing shaping the message better informed as to actual content, and imposed some logic and insincerely by its physical form. The letter is an artifact and an emblem of civilization, said Clinton. Uh, as the 21st century opened, the Internet was easily the most dynamic new force in society. It had revolutionized communication, changed the way business worked, altered everyday living patterns, and spurred an economic boom of unparalleled proportions. Was zero time running anywhere? Amid the euphoria, there were those who lamented an eruption of intimacy that seemed linked to communicated by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress James H. Clinton has quoted warning that email was spotting a decline in the use of language, their handwriting and even typing sharpened the message, whether informed as to actual content, or imposed some logic and sincerely by its very physical form. The letter is an artifact and emblem of civilization, said Clinton. Uh, as the 21st century opened, the Internet was easily the most dynamic new force in society. It had revolutionized the communication, changed the way business works, altered everyday living patterns, and spread an economic boom of unparalleled proportions. Was your tongue running anywhere? Amid the euphoria, there was all.ああ、忘れてた。ぼーっとしてた。The tongue running anywhere? Amid the euphoria, there was also lamented an erosion of intimacy that seemed linked to communicating by email. U.S. Librarian of Congress Jim H. Clinton was quoted as warning that email was causing a decline in the use of language. The handwriting and even typing sharpened the message, better informed as to actual content, and imposed some logic and sincerity by its very physical form. The letter is an artifact and an emblem of civilization, said Billington.